Before I get into what I have to say today, I just want to thank everybody who has come up today and shared such wonderful stories with us. To members of the 2021 cohort who came and shared such heartwarming stories of leadership breakthroughs, to the students who came up here and rekindled that sense of hope that we come into this work with, and to our keynote speakers who reminded us of all of those things that we need to take with us stepping into the next phase of our journey. Um, Distinguished guests, esteemed partners, dear friends, and Team Teach for Pakistan, good evening and welcome to the 2021 Cohort's Alumni Induction Ceremony. My name is Kanza Hussan, and I am a fellow from the 2021 cohort. Over the course of the past 2 years, I have had the absolute privilege to teach and learn from some of this country's greatest minds in Sehala, Islamabad. Growing up in Karachi, my understanding of Pakistan's public education system was nearly non existent because the education infrastructure in Sindh was nearly non existent. On days when my siblings and I were feeling particularly bratty, I recall my mom threatening, "Agar sudre nahi, to peele school mein dal dungi." And while that threat was make us fall in line immediately, it was only going to be years later that I would understand my mother's, like many privileged Pakistanis, skepticism, even as she herself had grown up in the same schools. But it is not that sense of skepticism I am here to unpack today. Rather, much the opposite. When those of us part of the 2021 cohort entered Institute almost 2 years ago, we had no idea what radically transformed versions of ourselves, each other, or our students we were going to confront 2 years later. Perhaps the only way to explain it is through one of our cohort members' most quotable quotes. किसी चीज को तोड़ के जोड़ने के लिए साथ खुद को भी तोड़ के जोड़ना पड़ता है. And so I can stand here and give you an endless account of all the pedagogical innovation, stakeholder management, and technical skills that we have learned over the course of the past 2 years. But I think my fellow cohort members have done a good job of that so far. So I'm going to use my time today to get at the heart of a much simpler core tenets of the fellowship, a constant project of reimagining, reinventing hope in the face of a looming disillusionment fueled by radical love. When I stepped into my first classroom in August 2021, I remember walking out with a sense of gloom I couldn't seem to shake off. Because none of my students had been able to answer my questions or manage to write a complete sentence. When I asked them why that had been the case, one meek, hesitant voice responded, "डर लग रहा था कि अगर गलत जवाब दे दिया तो टीचर मारेंगी." I went back to the staff room that day and sobbed. Surely there did not have to be any reason for a 10-year-old to hold that much fear in their heart. A realization that was going to ground whatever teaching practice I was going to create during the course of my 2 years in the fellowship. It was when we came together as a cohort on the first training day after interim placement that I learned we had all been shattered in the same ways and come to make the same pledges of kindness, love, and immovable patience to our students. As a group, we were committed to ensuring that foremost, our students were able to feel safe, seen, and heard, and that all learning would automatically follow from that. 2 years later, the same people who had returned from their first month in school, distraught and scattered, sit around us today, patrons of love, each with their own overjoyed collection of success stories, each with their own recollection of the breaking and remaking of their own and their students' hopes. We have seen classroom averages jump from 20% to nearly 90% across subjects. And we have seen some classrooms' English literacy leap nearly 3 to 4 grade levels over just the course of a couple of years. But perhaps the most worthwhile stories of success we hold dear are those that speak to our students' non cognitive growth, evident in the grace, confidence, and assuredness with which they carry themselves, the steadfastness with which they brave challenges, the tenderness with which they hold each other, the eagerness with which they seek out knowledge, and the courage with which they now express their needs. When I reflect on the growth of all our students, nothing sounds closer than the phrase, "it takes a village." Because neither us nor our students could have actualized these hopes if it weren't for all the ecosystems that helped sustain us. From the school staff who held us on days that seemed bleak, to the principals who helped us construct our community partnership projects, to the parents who attended meetings and workshops and opened up their homes to us for everything ranging from remedial classes to art exhibitions. And I am nothing short of humbled to have shared this journey with such a vast community. Thank you to everyone in the 2021 cohort, the cohorts that preceded us, and those that will follow, for teaching me and my students how to hold love and hope close on days when exhaustion catches up with us. Thank you to our coaches for standing by us as we took risks, broke down, and almost quit uncountable times. Really sorry about that. And thank you to Tuba and Khadija for always reorienting us to our whys, so we could do the same for our students, helping them find the why in their perseverance. To dream a future unbounded by the constraints of gender, class, caste, and creed. At the end of it all, I want to leave you with a reiteration. The fight for educational equity demands the resilience of a consortium of leaders motivated and committed to transforming outcomes for all children who enter our schools, vocational training centers, or universities. This consortium is not tasked simply with the mission to transform a singular classroom, but to place principles of an equity premised on love, kindness, and hope at the center of whatever space and discourse they come to occupy. Our work may never be over, but as long as there is one more person ready to fight the good fight, we stand a little more successful. Thank you and good evening.